Hey everybody. Sorry the lighting in my room is bad. They are changing out some of my light bulbs today, so I apologize for that. So I'm going to talk to you about the article that I chose in the final module. It's the title is Back to the Classroom, and this is Teachers' Views on Classroom Management and the Rules After COVID-19. So I was hired in 2020 here at the school I'm working for currently, and I had worked a few months before COVID hit, and I can tell you that pre-COVID and post-COVID is so different in this self-contained classroom that I'm in. This goes for behavioral issues, social interactions, boredom, technology. They crave technology because if you think about it, while they were out doing virtual for those months, several months, they relied on technology. That's all they had. So when they came back to school, they're thinking, okay, well, we're going to take our phones, we're going to scroll TikTok, Facebooks, and we're going to Snapchat. No. So I, for one, am glad they passed the law about the cell phones. But back to my article. So the goal of this study is aimed to explore the disruption of the classrooms and how the rules of classrooms had to be tweaked and modified after COVID. So there's 16 teachers that participated in this, and they actually worked in Turkey. And the data collection, the researchers conducted semi-structured interviews with the teachers, with all 16 of them. Then they used the qualitative content analysis to interpret and categorize the responses. So to sum that up, they basically polled teachers how the students' behaviors, the learning, social, psychological, and the dynamics changed pre-COVID to post-COVID. And also how teachers adapted their rules of the classroom to make it doable, to make it where the students are comfortable, where the students are not glued to an iPad all day. So I loved this article. There's a lot of in-depth things. I could have probably written a 20-page paper on this because this article to me is one of the best, because I've read several articles on post-COVID, but this one, just the detailed information that's given in it really struck my interest. So in this article, it reports that many students showed significant changes when they came back from COVID, from the pandemic. The face-to-face education they didn't know for several months. So they're doing virtual, like I said earlier in my video. So that's a big change for them. It's not as much a huge change for the teachers, but for teenagers, you're taking them from virtual back into a classroom where there's bells ringing. You go to lunch at this time. There's structured rules that you have to follow. So it's taken some time to get them back into that routine. You have to have motivation for them to learn, to turn their assignments in, to stay in their seat, the social changes of it. So, the pandemic and time away from the consistent peer interaction, to me, is one of the greatest declines that I've seen working in special education in a self-contained classroom. There's a lot of discipline issues that teachers have talked about, and they talk about it in this article. It says some teachers observed increases in misbehavior, disciplinary issues, or challenges managing students to follow classroom rules. So the psychometer of this noted that the psychomotor changes, which may refer to restlessness, lack of self-regulation, impulsivity, or other physical manifestations that are linked to extended time at home and less time in a structured classroom. Guys, I'm sorry, this radio, let me turn it down. I apologize. Sorry about that. That's the walkie at school. I apologize. You know, our job never stops. The radio's constantly going off, so I apologize for that. So, also I want to briefly touch on time spent at home. So, the time spent at home with mom, dad, grandmother, guardian, whoever kept the individual when the pandemic was happening and we were doing virtual. You've got to think they can eat when they want to. They can go outside when they want to. They can stay on their phones all day. They can stay on their iPads all day. You know, it's like a homeschool. And, you know, to me, that is a huge obstacle to conquer. But I feel like we're on the right track now. But back to this article, the authors of this provided flexibility in the new rules, you know, allowing extra time for the students to turn in assignments and to get peer help. So that's basically the gist of this article. I really, really enjoyed it, and I suggest any of you, even if you're not in special education, you know, if you're in Gen Ed, especially Gen Ed, to me, this refers to Gen Ed more than it does special ed. So this article is great, and I found it on Google Scholar, and you can just Google it and look it up, and you know, see what you think about it. But I thought it was great the way it detailed the pandemic and the way the rules of the classroom had to change after the pandemic. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.